When I talk to new Airstreamers, sometimes I find they're very worried about the possibility they may have to replace a rivet in their Airstream. And they really shouldn't be, because it's not that difficult.
Well, and to prove that, I am a new Airstreamer. Rich and I just bought a new Airstream. I have never replaced a rivet until today because I'm going to learn how to replace a rivet, a pop rivet, in the new Airstream in case we ever need to do that.
Yeah. So I brought her over to learn at the feet of a master. We're at the workshop of my friend Colin Hyde of Colin Hyde Trailer Restorations in Plattsburgh, New York. So if you're ready to go, let's go into the shop.
I got my rivet and I'm ready to go. Let's go meet Colin. When Rich said he'd brought me to learn at the hands of a master, he was not kidding. Colin Hyde is one of the world's leading experts in vintage Airstream restoration. He's restored dozens and dozens of trailers, and he's the Vintage Airstream Club technical advisor, as well as a co-host of the Vintage Airstream podcast. Being in his shop is like being a kid in a candy store if you love vintage Airstreams. On the day Rich and I visited, trailers from the 1960s and 70s were being restored, some to meet modern needs like the need for a king-size bed and a composting toilet, and others to regain their heyday luster. And outside the shop, trailers dating back to the 1940s were waiting their turn to be brought back to life. It was quite a cool experience. For my intro to pop rivet replacement, we set up in Colin's metal shop. And before we got started, I asked him to explain the 3 types of rivets that are used in Airstreams.
The main one that you see every trailer has, is the most obvious one, is the bucked rivet or solid rivet. Those are little dome head rivets that you see covering the trailer that's holding the body skins to the main ribs and stringers and whatnot.
Those things that everyone thinks are so cool and give the Airstream its characteristics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then the inside skin is held to the ribs and stringers with pop rivets.
Okay.
That's also called a blind fastener, where you don't have to get at the back of it in order to install it. Whereas the bucked rivet or solid rivet, you have to have an operator on the outside and an operator on the inside. Hence, when you go through the factory, you'll see guys banging away. One's on the inside of the trailer, one's on the outside.
Okay.
And then, if there's any repairs that get done on the outside of your trailer, they have something called an Olympic rivet, which is also a blind rivet, and it's much like a pop rivet. However, it's got an interesting head and mandrel shape, and the mandrel is the sort of nail type thing that pulls to make it all function. The mandrel will break off, and then they snip off the end of the mandrel, and then they have a tool called a rivet shaver, and it shaves the head of the rivet so it looks like a bucked rivet. But
why do rivets fall out? You know, I'm new at this, so I'm really kind of trying to figure this out.
Just keep in mind the Airstream trailers are semi-monocoque structures. So basically, when they're going down the road, they're shaking, rattling, twisting, doing all kinds of wonderful things. Over time, this can happen.
Oh, okay.
It's a natural scenario.
The average person is going to have the confidence probably just to replace a pop rivet inside the trailer, which is a simpler thing because you can buy a tool. We sell that in the Airstream Life store, actually, and you can buy the rivets and you can do it yourself. So Colin is going to show me how to replace a pop rivet. So where would we start? Do you want to show us first?
Sure.
What does it look like on the front and back? What am I going to be looking at when I
so this is a basic pop rivet. So you can see a mandrel and a body. When they're installed, this is when it's popped, and this is what the back of it looks like.
So in the inside of the trailer, like
yes,
inside my Airstream,
that's what
it looks
you
like
would
this.
see.
Yeah, I see those in the wall, right?
Right.
And then the outside where we can't see.
Exactly, that's inside the wall.
Okay.
But as you could see, the mandrel, when it's pulling on it, it's kind of like a nail. It's pulling the head of the nail into the tube of the rivet. That's what makes it expand without having a guy on the other side of it.
Okay.
Okay, so that's how they work.
Okay.
And they do really well. They're used in the marine world, in aircraft world, in automotive. They've even got plastic versions of that in the automotive world. So they're really wonderful fasteners.
Okay. So we have this handy dandy. You drilled a few holes in there.
There you go.
To simulate an Airstream that has lost a rivet. So where do we start? What would you like me to do?
Well, basically, typically these are on when they are used when two skins are held together or a skin is being held to a rib or something like that. So, you know, we've drilled some holes here. This happens to be 1/8 diameter, which is the size that is used on all of the interior rivets.
Okay.
There's different lengths, or what's called a grip range, depending on what it's fastening together. This is a short one.
Okay.
Basically, you just push the rivet into the hole.
Is this the inside of the Airstream or
Yeah.
the outside? This is the inside. Okay.
You know, this is what you would see from the inside.
Okay.
And then you put your handy dandy riveter on there.
Okay.
And then you just squeeze. And you just squeeze it a couple of times until it snaps. And you'll see the mandrel falls out. And
Okay.
you can see the back of it looking just like that
Like
one.
that. That's the back.
And here is the broken mandrel.
So that fell off here.
Correct.
Okay. That's pretty simple. I think I can handle this. I think.
Well, the other nice thing
gotta
about
learn
this
how to use this
is
tool.
that I've had an Airstream for 19 years, and all of my friends do the same thing, but we always have a rivet gun and a supply of rivets in the trailer, because as you're going on trips, you might have 1 or 2 pop out.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't get to them, a few more may pop out in the length of that trip.
Okay.
So the idea thing is, you stop, say, oh, there's a rivet that's popped, let's pop it now. Then you're not putting undue strain on the adjoining or adjacent rivets.
Okay.
So that's really useful.
So will you hold this thing for me?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give this a go. Wait, this is what I want, right?
Correct.
Okay. And first I'm gonna put the tool the right way. Everyone, this is actually my first time doing this. I'm gonna stick that in there.
Except you have to stick it in the other way around.
Sorry.
That works a lot better.
All right. See, I really am a new at this. Okay, and now I know I'm gonna put this on here.
Yep. There you go.
And I'm gonna
So basically, when you get down to the bottom, you push it up tight again.
Oh, okay, I have to push it. I guess if it'd be easier if this was against
Sure.
the wall, right? We're doing it.
It's going to get stiff because it's going to, there you go.
All right, I did it. I'm actually very excited about this. Perfect. It looks almost as good as Colin's, but
Now, the
not
whole
quite.
trick is, as you probably noticed, you have to make sure the rivet is pushed right up against
Yeah, I
the
think
base
that is the
surface.
problem. As we did it in the shop today, we didn't have that luxury of pushing against, but I think I could do a lot better job in our new Airstream with this. I push it against the wall.
The other thing that people should know is that you see the tips here, they have different size holes.
Yep.
Depending on the size of the rivet determines which tip you use, and these come out and get screwed in there. So this is a tip for a 1/8 rivet, but as you can see here, this is an Olympic rivet. It's got a larger mandrel, so you would use a different tip. So you don't just unscrew that one and put this one down there, and there
You
may
have to
be
know
a little,
the right one.
There's a little wrench here.
tool, yep.
Right, so
and
you can adjust it.
You pull these things off. This is actually the rivet tool that we sell in the Airstream Life store. And there's a tool here that you pull out, and you take these things off and you just switch them out depending on the size rivet that you have.
Yeah.
Any final advice to those Airstreamers watching who aren't sure if they want to replace their own rivets?
It's really, really easy. Everybody should know how to do it, and you're going to find all kinds of other wonderful things that you can attach together that you never occurred to you. That oh, I don't want to use a screw or a nut and a bolt. Just pop rivet it together. They're wonderful things.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Colin, for teaching me how to put in my first pop rivet, or replace my first pop rivet. Thanks for letting us be here on Airstream Life TV. And that's it. That's how you replace a pop rivet.